You know, one thing that you learn in this world of show business is behind the scenes, your job truly is never safe. And you might say that in any job, but truly, you know, in this particular world, the media, it's very difficult to keep it safe for the simple fact that really there's always somebody younger, slimmer, blonder, darker, whatever, ready to take your place. And bosses, of course, are always ready to make sure that they can cut down on salaries. Now, as I mentioned to you before, this is fascinating in many respects because over at ITV Daytime, they've decided that, well, they need to make drastic cuts. And it's not just drastic cuts, it's all about whether you fit in anymore, your age group, are you the right demographic, does the audience want to watch you? And behind the scenes, well, ITV are doing this as ever. Let me explain. Morning, nice to see you, chums. Thank you so much for joining me today, and welcome one and all brand new subscribers. It is a funny game. I know it happens in every game because I was talking to a colleague the other day who works in a totally different industry, and they were saying that suddenly because they've hit the age of 60, they're now frightened the fact that, you know, they will be wiped out. And this was in the railway industry. And, you know, there's always somebody younger, cheaper, and it affects everybody. This is more on the public stage though. You see, I told you recently about ITV Daytime and how they're making drastic cuts, right? And then I told you, did I not, that a lot of these celebrities, you know, the big names, if you like, of daytime ITV, the likes of Alison Hammond, who seemingly has ticked every box and can pick up any sort of TV show that she requires. And then of course we've got the ubiquitous Lorraine Kelly, been on our screens over 30 years plus, but apparently still needs to be seen. So she signed on for a very expensive travelogue show over on Channel 4, and apparently we're all going to be flocking to watch that. I don't wish her ill, but hasn't it already been done, say with Michael Portillo and Joanna Lumley? I mean, do we need another celebrity travelogue? Seemingly Channel 4 think we do. And then of course you look at the other outriders, the ones that are becoming very, very, very nervous behind the scenes. You see, ITV have decided to employ basically, you know, search. And the idea is that they now do audience research with people to see which presenters resonates more. This got out behind the scenes over at the BBC TV studios, right, where all of those shows are currently now filmed. They're all relocating and put under the same umbrella of ITV News because they need to save money. Now, where does this get tricky? Well, what you can see, and this is what I'm saying about how I mentioned this earlier on, Cat Deeley's marriage split. Everybody knew about that a long time ago, but the time wasn't right. And just as the younger presenter took over from Cat for the summer break, Cat's announcement came. Right on cue, just as I said it would do. And then of course we had Lorraine Kelly from a hospital bed, but that still didn't stop ITV basically saying, we're cutting you, we're not fussed. And now we see this particular twosome. This is of course Charlotte Hawkins, and she is the newsreader and sometimes fill it in on Good Morning Britain. And basically she's done a magazine spread, basically trying to make out that she's a little bit more raunchy than we would have known. Oh, she went clubbing and to Ibiza and sometimes stayed up all night. Right. I mean, you know, now this is not the image of this particular lady. I worked with her many, many years ago on Sky News Breakfast. Lovely girl, but, you know, one would say uneventful, and I mean that nicely. She's very good at adding a bit of glamour and dash to a particular programme, but in order to try and ramp it up, they've got her to pose in these rather provocative leanings in this glossy mag. Not to be outdone, Ranveer Singh, a woman who on television basically claimed she had no idea what the Queen did all day, but then ITV decided to put her on covering the coronation. That's how dumb they are. Well, she's now decided to see if radio might like her, should the axe now fall on her too. So she did a stint over the bank holiday weekend for £450, yes, and that was basically to see if radio would take her on board at LBC, that is part of Global. So you see how they sort of shift around, and basically what their agents are saying to them is, get yourself out there, remind yourself why you're so loved. The agent has a more impactful idea, of course, because without them working, the agent doesn't get paid. And more importantly, they have then a very troublesome ego of them not being able to get them work. It's all a fanciful merry-go-round over on ITV Daytime. Who gets chucked off the merry-go-round? Well, we'll find that out in the early part of 2026. It is a developing story. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.